Welcome back, folks, to the Membership Machine Show. This is episode 24. Another week has just flown by. Spencer, pardon?
Flown.
I blinked. Spencer's been playing with his AI girlfriends. He's going to dominate the world. He's going to replace the whole of WordPress ecosystem with just what comes out of his mind. What could go wrong? That's what I want to know. What could go wrong? So
if the world's going to end because of AI, I want to at least have my finger on one of the buttons. That's all.
Yeah, there we go. World domination. There we are. I'll be watching too much James Bond. That's what Spencer's been doing. So in this episode, we're going to be discussing how to set up a course using WooCommerce basically as your core engine. What are some of the leading plugins, things that you got to understand, tips, insights? It should be a great show. I'm sure Spencer's got a lot to say about this. I would attempt to control his enthusiasm. I will fail though. So Spencer,
I'm not going to be too enthusiastic. I'm going to try to tone it down this week.
He's had a rough morning already.
I had a. You can hear my voice is coming back. I had about a 6-day spring to summer transitional cold. I have a sixth grader, and they basically are human petri dishes, and so every spring I seem to get this thing, which it doesn't knock me out, but it knocks out my voice box. And now I'm feeling it come online. I'm still a little stuffy. So I'm in a very chill mood. Yesterday it was 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I rode my bike. I got out in the sun. Today it's gorgeous. So I could care less about getting worked up.
Well, I can soon change that, as you know, audience.
You always have that ability.
Yeah, my ability to rub Spencer up is legendary. So, so before we go in my list, Spencer, what are some of the fundamental things that you think people should know before we go into this list and discuss the nitty-gritty about utilizing WordPress as the core, one of the core engines of your membership setup with WordPress?
Okay, I think you said WordPress, but you meant WooCommerce, right?
Sorry.
So basically, the thing that I mentioned, I did 2 events in the last couple of weeks. One was for Cadence Amplify, one was for LearnDash, and I was mentioning that WooCommerce should be inside of every system, and that's a very controversial thing to say, and here's why. WooCommerce, despite many of the things it should be doing, is really foundational to providing things you need in any membership site or learning management site, such as being able to automatically register and log in people. Of course, being able to take one-time or subscription payments and do it in a unified way that works with marketing automation. But it also provides a unified dashboard that you can use to consolidate the other pieces that you would probably want to show to people and do it in a way that's got essentially virtually unlimited external and internal things that work with it. So if you think of WooCommerce like a gigantic strip of Velcro, if you have it in your site, you can stick just about anything in, and it's a magical and at the base level free way of doing it. And that applies to the LMSs specifically, because both of the LMSs that are the prime ones, and there's a few others, they all have their own proprietary ways of taking payments. And I just say, no, don't. You take the payments through WooCommerce, you do the registration login, you do the dashboard. If you standardize that to WooCommerce and you get it off the LMSs, the LMS bit becomes so much simpler and easier and better, because you're just using it for the one thing it does well, which is organize content and then obviously manage a user's journey, like lessons, quizzes, and so forth. So that's the concept.
Right. I think that was fantastic. So let's start with, I want to point out any of the plugins and that we recommend during the show will be in the show notes. Spencer will provide the URLs to me, and I will make sure they're all in the show notes to support this great podcast. And you can watch it live on the WP-Tonic YouTube channel if you want to see us all in our beauty. So let's start off. Number 1. So which LMS should I use with WooCommerce? You know,
I mean, there's just Coke and Pepsi. There's Coke and Pepsi. There's probably a shelf full of plugins that could be used for different reasons, but let's just call this out for what we've talked about it in other shows. There's LearnDash and there's Lifter LMS. They, to some extent, are peers and incomparably equipped, but we should describe the main difference. LearnDash is and was designed to be sold first, and you get the tchotchkes with the package. Lifter business model is free, and you pay for essentially the relationship and the tchotchkes. Chris and Kurt and Will, and now the Colemans are all part of Lifter LMS, an extraordinarily gifted and friendly community, welcoming to anybody. And they offer essentially a relationship. You're buying a relationship. LearnDash is for those who are, look, let's get down to business. And it's still a great product. It's in the Nexus/Liquid Web family of products that I'm still arguing with them directly about what are they calling it. In fact, yesterday when I was on a webinar, I was calling it by its new name, which is called like Strength WP or something like that. And then Kasia Zukowska, who used to be an old student of mine who works there, said, you keep calling our product the wrong thing. I'm like, I'm looking at your Twitter announcement from Stellar that says Stellar has now become weightlifting WP. So they don't even know what their new name is. But LearnDash is a professional product supported by a great team of people. It's just not, it's not going to be like sitting in the living room. And there's 3 or 4 other ones that do stuff, but quite frankly, I just don't think anybody should spend their time dealing with those because you've got Coke and Pepsi and you want a cola. Just
well, they've got a track history. There's a lot of people supporting these platforms. Yes, every time I mention either look at Lifter LMS or look at LearnDash, I always get, oh, what about this one? What about that one? What about the other one? What about the other one? And you just got to take it on the chin, really, accept it. That's part of WordPress. But we got to simplify.
Well, what business are you in?
Not get them even more complicated.
I'm saying, what business are you in? Are you in the tinkering business or the get it done solutions business? And if essentially, like, I'm not picking coffee, but like it's Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks. Like, yeah, there's 900 other ones, but you know, Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, you could find in just about, and maybe McDonald's. Pick one of those and get on with it, unless your business is to be a coffee taster. Same thing with WordPress. Do you really want to use the 3rd or 4th or 5th LMS choice? Just why? Just get on with
so fundamentally, folks, if you want to set up a WooCommerce with a LMS, it's either Lifter LMS or LearnDash, end of story. So on we go. So what theme and framework should I use? Well, basically, based on our other discussions, listen to previous episodes of this great podcast. This question is irrelevant because there's only 2 questions you've got to ask yourself, in my opinion, and then I want to see if Spencer agrees with me, which is very unlikely. But
not necessarily.
Basically, the 2 questions are this: am I going to use Gutenberg, and am I going to use additional third-party block library like Cadence or Spectre? Am I going to use a third-party block library with Gutenberg, or am I going Elementor? End of story. That is your 2 choices, as far as I'm concerned. You know, legitimate. You could throw in another block library, Divi. You could throw that, because I regularly upset the Divi crowd. So I'm going to throw them a bone. You could throw that in as well. But as far as I'm concerned, that's the 2 choices you got. You go Gutenberg with a third-party block library, or you're going with Elementor. That's basically it. What do you think, Spencer?
You know, at the risk of slings and arrows, which I could care less about at this point, the whole evolution of WordPress, we've reached the stage. I've already committed to it, and I feel so good about it.
You feel good about it, Spencer?
Reunited, and it feels so good. We spent all these years wishing and hoping for the day that there would just be a Lego store or an IKEA opening near us in WordPress. And now it has. So I'm not going to go back to the flea market in the parking lot and discuss why there's 750 different page builders and all the rest, because it makes no difference to me. And I'm very
free. I've broken the chains.
I'm free at last. I am very fond of the team at Elementor in particular, and Verdi Hines personally. You have a choice. You're either like Verdi and I talk to use the term I like, a matrushka doll, like a doll in a doll. You're either Elementor first, and by the way, WordPress works on Elementor, or you're WordPress, and by the way, you don't need Elementor. That's really my view of the world now, because Elementor has clearly left the building. They've made it public that they're now doing a developer initiative, which is like make cool stuff for Elementor that runs natively in Elementor instead of plugins for WordPress. And they've taken their 15 million plus users, and they've got plenty of reasons to just be like, hey, we could just be like Wix or Weebly or Squarespace. We got a platform. And for our users, that's a great experience because we can control and fix a lot of the stuff. Because I will tell you, aside from that, when I'm in the WordPress space, no more Elementor for me. No more. Because it is a choice now. You're either WordPress and you're using Gutenberg, and I prefer Cadence, or you're using Elementor. I'm being very bold here, and I'm saying it with protection of who I respect and like. Either you go to Elementor as a platform, hosted cloud, the whole thing, or stay in WordPress and don't use Elementor, because I don't feel that even Elementor is going to be the same as a WordPress plugin going forward, because it's already. Hold on. When you shake your head, it bothers me. Here's why. Because I'm doing everyday side-by-side things with existing Elementor sites and users, things that I had a hand in. And they're not the same experience as just using native Gutenberg for speed and load time and complications and the third-party plugins that we all had to use to get Elementor to do its thing. It's a whole choo-choo train of legacy stuff. And Verdi is very clear. He's a very good marketer. They don't deny any of that. That's why they're trying to make the platform, so they can get rid of all this legacy train of stuff.
I'm disagreeing with you. It's not the fundamentals of what you're saying. It's just a slight interpretation. Obviously, they want to build their own platform and they want to make it sticky. But I don't think they're going to just divorce WordPress, because
they're not. They're just prioritizing it differently.
It's very convenient. So if they can do both, which they're attempting, that makes business sense.
I don't want to be misconstrued. I'm saying that you have a priority. Okay, Elementor Cloud is the first priority, as it should be, and the experience there is and will continue to be much different than running Elementor, the plugins, and then trying to continue to fix and support all the third-party legacies that continue to work with Elementor. It's the tail chasing the dog.
Yeah. Well,
okay. Versus, by the way, because this isn't about page builders. If you just seriously here, just use Cadence theme and Cadence blocks and call it.
But even that is because there's well-known YouTube WordPress personalities. You know, you've had the update of 6.2 with a lot of. There's people that saying you don't have to use a third-party block library.
Soon, but currently,
I disagree with that. I think there, but there's fundamental changes. I've done some videos on this, so I think you would be better off utilizing. There's about 3 to 4 Gutenberg third-party block libraries that I would say you look at with Gutenberg, and I think you're going to have the best experience if you do that. So, but that still cuts it down a lot. Either you go with Gutenberg with 3 to 4 commercial block libraries, or you go with Elementor. That's my opinion. I think everything else it's linked to which LMS. Yeah, there's loads of others, but you've got to make your decision, folks. Are you serious about building a membership business on WordPress with all the benefits of ownership and expandability and customization? Or do you just want to be a tinkerer and spend the next year looking at every godforsaken possible solution that might save you $10.
That's the bottom line. And I want to just say, because you've acknowledged it, the whole conversation about the core blocks is I've been playing with OpenAI and I've been working on my development skills. And there have been like people I tweeted out. I said, what are things about the core blocks that aren't working for you? And I mean, there's really stupidly fundamental stuff that doesn't work. Like the cover block, you can't just click on the background image and go to a link. Like, really? That's been in all these other blocks forever. So my point is, you don't have to wait for Godot and hope that the core blocks work, because the free cadence blocks, you could just adopt and say, ta-da, that's it. That's my core blocks. And you know what I mean? Like that, the point is not to keep having shiny ball syndrome and hoping there's like another sexy thing around the corner. Just get on with it.
Well, I think you got to focus on some core, when it comes to core functionality, really the actual building tool that you're going to be utilized to build your membership website and work with WooCommerce and with what the two LMSs that we have mentioned. These are fundamental building blocks of how you're going to build your membership website on WordPress. Exactly. So you need to control yourself. You need to select from a small field of players that have the history, the presence in the WordPress community. You need to choose the best of breed and stick with it and avoid the shiny ball syndrome of moving from one to this to the other.
Yeah, that's the takeaway of the last two presentations. The one was yesterday. I'm simply saying, imagine a world where the last 17 years didn't happen. And today, some friend of yours who knows better says, I've got this great system. You can own it, control it. It's open source software. And it's got 7 key features in it. And it's in a box that you own. And those are curated choices by somebody who's been doing this forever. And it just works. Like, you wouldn't care that there's 9 million other choices anymore, because you're like, you just gave me a box that does everything I want for my membership site. Isn't that the point? The only reason people even talk about this stuff is because we went through the wilderness with axes and shovels, like building teepees and huts out of wood pieces. And now we're here in the world of electric flying cars. And somebody's finally saying, here's a box that has everything we dreamed of. And people are still wanting, but what about when we cut down trees? Let's keep doing that. I'm like, or just get on with your business, because the business of membership sites has also changed, because people can get content everywhere now. Your business should be about the relationship and you being the mentor instead of about the tools. Stop thinking about the tools.
It's curation. It's curating. That's what it's all about.
Curation and relationship. Yeah.
So before we go on to the other great topics of this podcast, I have a couple messages from our major sponsors. We will be back in a few moments, folks.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Lifter LMS, the leading learning management system solution for WordPress. If you or your client are creating any kind of online course, training-based membership website, or any type of e-learning project, Lifter LMS is the most secure, stable, well-supported solution on the market. Go to lifterlms.com and save 20% at checkout with coupon code podcast20. That's podcast20. Enjoy the rest of your show.
Coming back, folks. It's been a great discussion. Hopefully we're giving you some real clarity. I think we're doing a good job. Spencer's chilled out. He actually looks very relaxed. Before we go on to the other part of this great podcast, just want to say, if you're looking to host with a specialist that really has track record in supporting membership website, look at WP-Tonic. Not only do we provide great hosting that's optimized for membership and learning management systems and BuddyBoss, but you join a partnership with us and we have the skill and experience. We deal with all the issues of having a successful business on WordPress around the memberships area. We support hundreds of clients now. Come to us, and you will have all the freedom, but you will have the security of having a great partnership with WP-Tonic. On to the next one. The best way to set up your course for purchase. You've got a product that helps with that. Utilize WooCommerce as your engine, but you have launch flows that helps. I know it's a bit tricky. There's other products, but obviously you're here and you sponsor the show, and launch flows is a great product. So I think the best way to approach this is, you've pointed this out before, and this was the reason why you and your team developed launch flows, is that you're using WooCommerce as the engine, but you don't have to utilize the checkout experience, the normal checkout experience, as part of that engine. You need to modify it, don't you? So you get a better experience when it comes to a membership website. Am I framing that the right way, really, Spencer?
I think that's a fair way, but let me elaborate. So out of the box, Mike Jolly and his team over the years have taken the approach that WooCommerce is essentially a Home Depot store first and only, whereas an entire industry has grown up around sales funnels and marketing automation checkout funnels, which is more like somebody who is, I don't know, has psychic abilities, knows that you need the repair your toilet kit, gathers all the parts and pieces, and as you're approaching the store location, runs out to your car and says, I've already charged your credit card, and here's all the stuff ready to go in your trunk. And so what Launch Flows and about 5 other products do is essentially convert the components of the WooCommerce engine into behaving like a sales funnel, so that you can, for example, know who a person is, offer them exactly what they want. They click one button, it's immediately in a checkout that can be optimized to do the things you want it to do, instead of looking like a leftover from an IRS tax audit. And that is a benefit that now WooCommerce has acknowledged, but they are so slow to fix any of these mundane things, which is fine, because Launch Flows, unlike Cart Flows and all the other ones, has stayed in its lane. Like I talk about all the other plugins, not frameworks. A plugin should be one feature and do it the best, and not take on all these other things. And so the experience I want people to learn from the basic premise is the 2 LMSs, as we mentioned, Lifter and LearnDash, have built-in sales capacity. I referenced this in my intro. Don't use them. Use WooCommerce, even without a sales funnel plugin like Launch Flows, because they both have accessories that allow a WooCommerce product to enroll somebody in a course. And that's the preferred method. Why? Because think of it in terms of that example where I said WooCommerce is like a Velcro. If you involve WooCommerce as being your sole transactional engine, it opens up the connectivity to everything else through WooCommerce. You could track what people have seen and bought with tags. You can report through Metoric. You can add all kinds of add-ons to modify the behavior of WooCommerce or the checkout of the product. If you use the little tiny cute proprietary checkout capacity of the LearnDash or Lifter plugin, you're hosed, because your entire business is going through their little cutesy proprietary cash register instead of the should be in core, everybody's using it, WooCommerce. Do you see the difference? Like,
yeah.
The old days of all-in-one plugins are done, and it should be done. Timo's funny. What's WooCommerce? It's just a nice little plugin. You can find it in the repository. That's the goal here. One feature, checkout, transactional engine, WooCommerce. That's how you should do it. And by the way, it makes it so much more powerful, because like with LearnDash in particular, in the product, you can just say, which courses do you get enrolled in if you subscribe to one product? It's like, whoa, I've been begging Chris at Lifter, and it sounds like the Colemans might have something to do with it. Can you please put the same thing into Lifter? Because with Lifter, you got to, at least currently, make these crazy, like unlimited lifetime plans for free as like an extra layer. And it's just kind of weird. It works, but it's weird. So mark my word, that's going to save everybody a lot of grief.
Yeah, so you use Launchflow, but if you're going to use WooCommerce, as the engine, you're also going to have to buy, as part of building the experience, the course purchase and the checkout experience, you are going to have to buy some add-on.
Just the subscriptions plugin, that's it.
But what about the actual student dashboard? When somebody logs in, you're gonna have to buy some add-ons there. Aren't you going to find our Italian friends to actually add the
no, because, and I have examples if we're going to share screen. I'd rather keep it audio because people are in the car driving, listening to us on the radio. The thing is, WooCommerce out of the box for free has one-time simple transactions. You can pay once. Everything else is in there. It's awesome. If you want to take recurring payments, like in a subscription, you need to pay for the subscription plugin or get the plugin through another source. Like my clients, I give them the plugin because they're my clients. The point is, you need that subscriptions plugin for the recurring payments. Everything else is all handled through the marketing automation we'll talk about, like, has somebody done this and that and the other thing? Now, of course, there may be things in LearnDash or Lifter where you want to have a group that an instructor has detailed reports of what students are doing, but that has nothing to do with the transaction part. There is one exemption to this conversation, which is if you wanted to sell to a team, like a company, and they paid once for 100 seats, that is when you would use a specialty plugin like Teams for WooCommerce membership, or you would use like a similar thing. You can do it through automation. That is the one exemption where you actually have to, unfortunately, use the memberships plugin in addition, but you don't actually use it. You just use it to connect to the extra Teams capability. But if you're selling to companies and you can't afford the extra $99 a year for that plugin, then you really need to rethink what you're doing anyway, because the total cost of ownership for the stack I'm referring to all the time is between $600 and $1,200 for the whole year for unlimited users. In other words, like, it's not a CRM where you're getting, a higher bill every month because you have more people on your list. So it's $50 to $100 a month to run a business, plus your hosting cost, $50. $150 a month should be like an acceptable number, $100 to $150 a month. And that's it.
Just to quantify this a little bit, when it comes, if you're using the WooCommerce as a key Lego brick in this setup as the key purchasing engine, when a student logs in to the area, they're going to be taken to the WooCommerce login area. You're going to need to be able to customize that area so you can add a link, a part of the area where they can access their student, which either will be controlled by Lifter or LearnDash. So you're going to need some add-on to customize that, are you not?
Yeah, I'm just saying, one of the things that we talk about when you go to the standard cadence blocks and you use a design metaphor that allows you just to have a really standard stuff, you don't need to use all of the Lifter or LearnDash design tools anymore. What I do is I don't sell with Lifter. I don't show course pages with Lifter or LearnDash. I just essentially have the course itself that outputs like lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I, like a sandwich, I just put it on its own special page, and it's protected with the membership, control of tags through the CRM. But the beauty of that is that if somebody hasn't paid, I can just customize a message that says, hey, John, you need to pay for this to see it. And I can do that on the whole course, or I can do it on per lesson. And it's so much more flexible because when you see the lessons, I use what both products have, which is called focus mode, maybe they call it. It's just nice and broad and generic, and you don't have to do any styling anymore. And that eliminates like 3, 4, 5, 6 add-on plugins that were all designed in the old days before we had this to fix how janky things looked depending on your theme. So that's another way to get rid of a bunch of stuff. And so again, I'll show you an example maybe at the end of this, but like I just use standard off-the-shelf stuff in focus mode on a page builder of Cadence. And
I think that would be actually a good idea at the end of the podcast part. If you've got time for 10, 15 minutes, you can actually go through a demo, show some of the setups which you'll be able to see, folks, on the WP-Tonic YouTube channel as part of this whole show. But just to re-emphasize, because I was talking specifically about when a student, after they're paid for their course, they log into their student dashboard area, which is going to be controlled by WooCommerce, and you're going to have to add a section so it will take them. Or do you do that, or is there a way to merge what comes out the LearnDash or Lifter LMS student area to merge it with the Woo? Or do you do the opposite normally? Do you have them log into the Lifter or LearnDash student member area, and you add a link to the WooCommerce section that deals with the subscription, so they can download an invoice, just the nitty gritty of this?
I take the Cadence starter templates. They have a built-in page on one of or more of them called Dashboard. It's just a sexy page with a bunch of boxes on it. And one of the boxes says My Account. When you click that box, it actually opens up the real WooCommerce account page, which shows, my orders, my subscriptions, my whatever. But when you're on the main dashboard page, I have another section that says courses I want, courses I have. And I use the built-in LearnDash or Lifter widgets that display, here's available courses to buy, here's courses that I've already bought. And that way you get dynamically them to see from one, and the rest of the dashboard is things like go to my course page, go to my forums, go to my this or that. So I lay out something very attractive, very generic, that allows somebody on one page to always go there when they log in. And it's even got like a billboard. It's a, look at what's new, you can be buying. And that's how I solve the problem. So the mechanics of LearnDash and Lifter are under the hood, but I don't ever use their dashboard stuff, ever. Never, ever, never. Because the user information is always the same in WordPress, WooCommerce, them. If you change your name, password, your address, it's all the same. So I get rid of all the extra dashboards, and that way somebody is not confused. Like, which dashboard am I in? And again, it's like stripping the control panel, but keeping the engine of each of these features. You have the organizational capacity of the LMS, the transactional capacity of WooCommerce, but the dashboard's that one dashboard. Ta-da.
Yeah, all right. Thanks for that. I think that clarified things, because this is the whole point of this episode and what you should keep in mind. You're trying to keep things controlled yourself and choosing a library of really powerful tools, but you're also doing the same for your students as well, trying to keep it as simple as possible. And this is the key, offering the keeping the focus about why students are signing up for your course and giving you money, basically, for the experience, for the knowledge, for the community, for everything we're going to be talking in this show. And don't lose that focus. Don't get totally swept up by all the choices, all the silver balls that you're going to find in the WordPress platform, which is fantastic, but you need to control yourself. Control yourself.
Get a grip. Just get a grip on yourself.
Yes, control yourself. So on to another important area. What's your recommendation if people want to set up private tutoring sessions, group or individual coaching sessions, combined with a course membership setup? This is, and you got any you could say utilize BuddyBoss, and it's great for that.
You mean like Zoom or what are we?
Yeah, whatever. What's your recommendation? What do you think's great solutions for coaches, specifically people that want to combine membership with private tutoring, small groups or individual? What's the way you set it up yourself when you're dealing with a client that wants to do this? Because this must be a regular conversation that you're having.
Every single day. Okay, got to break it out. There's one-on-one stuff. There's one-to-many stuff. And then there's one-on-one ad hoc stuff. I mean, let's do one-on-one stuff. A one-on-one stuff would be, I'm a massage therapist, or I'm a coach, or I'm Spence and I'm talking to a client.
Let's focus on the coach side.
Okay, fine. It doesn't matter. But like, I'm a coach. The point is, I have content on the website, or I'm going to coach you about something that I talk about on my website. The reason I'm referencing the website is that the website, we're talking about like membership. It might be membership to a massage club. Who knows? Like, or it doesn't matter. The bottom line is, when you need to have a meeting with somebody that's either ad hoc or it's like scheduled, you're going to need a third-party plugin or service that allows you to essentially accomplish the ability for people to do the scheduling. For many people, they rely on giving the money at that particular third-party service, which I think is a mistake. So for example, I love Calendly as a service. There are some plugins that do some things in WordPress, but like, for the bang for the buck of what it costs for Calendly, I love it as a service, and it integrates with so many things. But they have an option for taking money there if you wanted to have a scheduled appointment, and I don't want to do that. Why? Because of the same thing I said. You own the box of WordPress. You have WooCommerce as a transactional engine. You want all of your money to go through one cash register, one sales funnel, one thing, because otherwise you're going to have money all over the place, and you're going to be wondering, why did you make your life so hard? So what I do there is, I have a product. Schedule a call with Spence for money. They give the money through the product, and then the product is what allows them to be sent over to pick a time in Calendly. It's really simple. And along the way, their first name, last name, email is added into my CRM in the event that it's not already, along with a tag, Spence scheduled a call and paid for it. Now, that could work with any service. It could go to, you might not just be, there's like Acuity Scheduler, and there's lots of third-party services. But the point is, you're taking the money and you're getting the person in your CRM first, which could also, by the way, be part of a membership. You paid for membership for Learn-Lifter, you get a free hour call. The tag tracks whether you've actually used it up by going through the sales funnel, that when you've finished, takes the tag away. So now it knows that you've already used the one-time visibility of the scheduling embed. Now, that's really easy. The second thing is, let's say you're doing one-to-many. I'm doing a StreamYard webinar. I'm doing a Zoom event. In the old days, back when we were young, Jonathan, we used to have Zoom make people register. You're out of your freaking mind if you're going to make people register on Zoom. Now, I'm saying that yesterday I was on a LearnDash presentation that I was giving, and it had people register through Zoom, which I felt like I'm in a different universe, because first of all, compared to StreamYard, it was impossibly horrible experience to present. I couldn't even see my own slides, but these people had to be registered and logged in advance through Zoom. Like, give me a break. StreamYard is free. There's other ones. Here's what you do. You have a product that you sell, and it says, if you pay, you'll get the link in time to show up to the event. Now, will some people share that? Maybe. If you're concerned about that, just have the StreamYard link be embedded in the membership site, and it just shows up like 5 minutes before the event. So it's like, I mean, listen, let's be honest. If somebody wants to record their screen of you talking, they're going to do it anyway, right? Like, why bother making your business harder for honest people for dishonest? But that's how you do it. You can have the StreamYard thing doing its magic and recording the event, but it's showing up as an embeddable in the site where somebody has bought access. Simple.
So how do you deal if you've got a group event? I think that, right. So
what's wrong?
Well, I'm trying to formulate my thoughts because you put a lot of information there. So I'm trying to juggle it so we can give some more insight here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go for our break, folks. When I come back, I've got some questions about what Spencer's just outlined, and we can go into a bit more detail about some of what he's laid out here. So we're going for our mid-break. Got some other great messages from our sponsors. We will be back in a few moments, folks. Coming back, folks. We're doing a dive here, how to use WooCommerce and integrate it as a core Lego part of your membership WordPress website. Before we go into some more detail, I just want to point out that we got some great offers and deals. Plus, we got a curated list of the best plugins that will help you build a great membership website on WordPress. One of those is the great product from Spencer, Launch Flows. Got a special deal on that as well. To get all these goodies and the curated list, all you have to do is go over to WP-Tonic/deals, WP-Tonic/deals, and you find all this on that page. What more could you ask for? So back to what we were outlining before we went for our break, Spencer. So what you just outlined was fine. I could see where you're going. So you use WooCommerce, you use something like StreamYard. They buy a ticket through the website, and then they're taken to a page that has, or they're emailed the link to the StreamYard. On that page, they're taken to. How do you integrate it so they're sent a Google Calendar reminder invite, so it's set up in their calendar, so they don't forget if you're selling it as an event in the future.
Well, if it's a one-time thing, like they're scheduling a call with you, Calendly does that. And the reason I love Calendly is you don't get to schedule until you paid, but when you do schedule, you can configure Calendly to set the reminders, set up the Zoom link. Everything magically happens. Similar with the event, I prefer Foo Events, but like with the Events plugin, you're selling a product that's an event, and it gives QR codes, tickets, the notifications. Everything is done through the calendar or the scheduling plugin. Does that make sense?
Well, kind of. So you utilize another add-on plugin. You said Woo Events?
No, I didn't say that. I said there's two types of things. There's like, I'm scheduling a one-time thing to do with a tutor. If that person like me is using Calendly, then the person pays me in my WordPress site through WooCommerce, and then I send them with their name automatically to Calendly, where choose the date and the time.
Right.
They don't have to add their name and email again because it's already in there. If there's an event, one-to-many, like 20 people come to a private class, and it's, in that case, not a one-to-one Calendly thing. You have to use StreamYard or whatever it may be. In that case, if I'm selling tickets, I'll use an event plugin. If I'm using just like anybody can come, I'll just use a product and it opens a page. So, I mean, I guess I was confusing you because like you don't need to sell event tickets to a virtual event.
Well, there's still a need. I think there is still a slight need of clarification, because obviously you've got a website, membership website, and they've bought a certain membership. But how do you deal with the scenario where they've bought a certain level of membership, but obviously you could set it up so you've got certain levels of membership, and you've got to buy a certain level of membership to have one-to-one coaching. But how do you do with a scenario where you might have a coaching level and it might be an add-on service where they have to pay an additional amount? They've paid their basic membership, but to get to a one-to-one coaching session, they've got to pay an extra fee. How do you do?
You can use the tag-based method. So, for example, the tag is like a movie theater ticket. You sell them a ticket that they use. It might be as simple as they visit and it gives the tag and takes away the tag, or it could even be a coupon code. The point is, you say, in order to schedule with me, there's a page that has this embedded calendar to pick. You can't see it unless you've bought a ticket to see that page. And when you see the page and press the button, it takes the tag away. So now you have to get another ticket in order to do it again. And that could be given to you, on a regular basis, or you can buy it a la carte.
Yep. I think what Tina, who's joined us as a regular, I must hear this literally every bloody week because it's all over. I hear this. Well, I don't want to use WooCommerce. I think we've decently set up, Tina. Too many people on really crappy hosting, Tina. They're really on really cheap rubbish hosting, and they also got a jumble of plugins and other stuff. If it's optimized and you'll find what Spencer is advising, and it's just the engine, this is just propaganda, Tina. This is just dribble, fundamentally.
I mean, I don't know if you read her question. She says, I've always heard that WooCommerce adds bloat to your website and slows it down. I think that was a legacy of a different time.
Yeah.
The truth is that WooCommerce, when it's installed the way I'm describing, is actually beneficial because it eliminates so many of these extra third-party tchotchkes all competing. And furthermore, it's been so worked over the years to optimize it and speed it and do even things like sharding the database tables. And I mean, just that is a legacy. Tina is a very smart woman. And so we've been talking about doing some more stuff together. And I'm like, she's asking this rhetorical question. That's a legacy of an earlier time. WooCommerce actually.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure of that, but you regularly still hear it though, don't you?
I'm saying it's a legacy where like people go, oh, WordPress not secure. It's like, yeah, maybe 14 years ago, but you know what I mean? Like that's just not true.
Yeah, but thanks for the question, Tina, because it's all out there to some degree, and I regularly hear it. And I advise people to utilize WooCommerce. We're not always successful. We don't impose a solution on the people that are hosting with us, but we do offer advice. That's part of the package when you host with WP-Tonic, but we can't force it down people's throats, because that's not what we're there for. But I do regularly hear it, and it's just propaganda, basically, out of date.
I mean, people will believe what they want to believe, but I do force it down people's throat because I think the choice for those of us who are professionals in this business are to take a stand with the tool set and be prescriptive, because in a world of infinity choices and confusing stuff, if you're not prescriptive, you're like a pharmacist that won't answer the person's question. There's 800 cold medicines. Which one should I take? I don't know. Figure it out yourself. No, like you should be a pharmacist and say, based upon what you've told me about you, do this. That's what people need and want in a world of AI. And I think that the sooner we all get to that, the better we'll all be, because sure, there'll be different camps of opinion, but right now it's just a flea market of snake oil. You know what I mean? Like nonsense.
Well, there's certain forces in WordPress, let's say the chocolate factory, that
that's a whole conversation.
Their main objective is to turn it into an ever worse flea market, in my opinion. So on to number 7. I suppose number 7 is really your answer is going to be very similar to the customization of the student area, because you're using Cadence, and that you're just going to set up a custom login, because this is a regular question that puzzles a lot of people when they're utilizing Lifter LMS or LearnDash, is the login area. So I'm surmising you're going to give a very similar answer that you gave to the student area.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I'd suggested, and I might show at the end here, is that you can have essentially a dashboard, and the dashboard has various visual components that are just made from, drag and drop elements, but they can link to the various things under the hood that are mechanical, right? The My Account button actually opens up the My Account page of WooCommerce, but when you go to the dashboard on the navigation, it brings you back to the central lobby that is the consolidated dashboard. Same thing for the student stuff. I have just a column that shows these are courses you got, courses you want to buy. I've got a billboard that could say, here's your progress, you're doing great. I give one page that has all the widgets or the short codes that put the data in place, but I don't allow the individual plugins to have their own dashboards because it's too confusing. Yeah.
So the other reason for utilizing, I'm going to see if you agree with this or you got some other insight before I go on to the final question, and then we go to a summary of it, is the other reason to utilize a block library like Cadence, the free or pro, and the same with Spectre. Spectre just got their free at the present, I think in the near future, but we've been saying that for a few months now. They're going to be bringing out their pro version. One of the reasons to utilize, or you can look at the new Divi maybe, is because native Gutenberg, you've seen this with 6.2. It's really exciting, and the new head of the team and the team at Gutenberg, they're really trying to sort out some of the UX and some of the fundamental things that were wrong, and they're accelerating the process. But it's fun. It's really every update there seems to be new changes, and that by utilizing a third-party library like Cadence, you're getting a bit of reassurance that you're getting a slightly more stable experience. Would you agree? Can you see where I'm coming from here, actually, Spencer? Or do you think I'm?
Are we talking about the certificates now? Sorry, I lost.
No, about utilizing utilizing something like Cadence as a third-party block library.
Yeah, the bottom line is that you're eliminating all this discussion, conversation, work about what am I going to do to make things happen. Because, for example, like with the student dashboard area, it's a starter template page that I borrowed in my model, and I just connected it together. You know what I mean? And it's just the same tools for anybody. So I could share this with somebody. They could copy it in one button press and use it on their own website. And if you did this once for yourself, you could do this 100 times for your own businesses or your own clients. You see what I mean? Like, so why would anybody make it more complicated than that, right? If you can literally just have the same components that do all the visual stuff across your site and all your client sites, you've got a factory with standard parts instead of some person just spaghetti coding things, and that's a significant difference.
Right. On to the last thing, certificates. Now, this is another regular discussion. Both LearnDash and Lifter LMS provide certificate functionality. I've got to be honest, both kind of do it. Both, it's improved. It's, in my opinion, still has some shortcomings, and it regularly causes some discussions, shall we put it that way, through our support system. When people, and this it must be another regular discussion that you have, what's your advice to people when they want certificates, membership? And is there any difference if you're using WooCommerce in that? I don't really know.
No, but there is a difference when you're using like the LMS as certificates. So Lifter and LearnDash both have the ability to give certificates. I have many clients for whom that's a core of their business, right? I'm doing continuing legal education. I'm doing continued import-export training. I need a piece of paper, right? That's what I'm paying for. Now, most of the ways that people have done this in the past have relied upon add-ons. We talked about a show or two ago, like Wisdom Labs or Uncanny Automator have like add-ons for LearnDash because it's really not that awesome to use the default LearnDash for certificates. Those are fine, but you know what a better way is? You go over to canva.com. It's free. There's 10,000 gorgeous certificates. They all have a space for the name or signature, whatever. Now, you take that image and you go into Gutenberg, and either with an existing post type, like using Pages, or maybe use a free plugin that makes new post type, like call the post type certificates. You simply put in a certificate picture for each of the certificates you want to offer one-to-one with your courses, right? If you complete this course, here's the pretty picture. So basically, you've got a library of pretty certificates, and then the user's name can be dynamically shown in each of them, like because that's just a text field. The Cadence allows you to show the name of the user. How does this work? When somebody buys a course and takes a course, at the end of the course, they complete the course by either a quiz or pressing a button. That gives them a tag. The tag is the unlock course number 1 certificate. Ta-da! It's like they've got a library now of gorgeous certificates that all are simple to manage. It's universal, but they only get to see and download a PDF of the one that they've gotten the tag for. That's how I do it. Now, the reason that the built-in functionality is still useful for some people is there's still some people that aren't using marketing automation, aren't using a modern tag system. I get it, but that's the whole point. Like, we're in electric car, flying car world. We're not like feed the horse some hay world. So since you can do it this way, do it this way. Save yourself the grief.
So, because so that's going to be part of our summary discussion, because you utilize tagging about 4 to 5 times in this.
Because you need to be using it in any membership site, and if you're not, you're killing your business.
Right. So,
I mean, can we pause, because your feigned indignation is amusing.
No, so I don't know. You're misinterpreting me, but
okay.
The reason
like,
why I pull a slight face is that all these conversations I regularly have.
I'm saying, if you had a store,
we love Automation. We offer WP Fusion as part of our hosting package as a free part of it, which is amazing value. But we've got to point out to people that are just listening to this new to the podcast show, that haven't listened to all the previous shows, which you should, listeners and viewers, is that a real core part of your consultation and recommendations is to utilize WP Fusion, isn't it?
Yeah. It could be WP Fusion or something else, but I would recommend WP Fusion, because remember, we had this conversation about there's 2 LMSs, Coke and Pepsi, and 50 other ones. Okay. There's lots of things that do automation, but if you use the one stack I'm talking about, you can get on with your life and your business with full 100% guaranteed success. It's like you have a Lego kit and there's 800,000 toys for kids. Do you want to just keep going down the aisles playing with toys, or do you just want to do it? And this is not like a framework plugin. Just do it. It's not a framework plugin like I'm picking on certain people. I won't say it, but like the ones that put stuff in a plugin that shouldn't all be in a plugin. This is core WordPress with one plugin basically per function that is proven demonstrably to be the thing that WordPress coulda, woulda, shoulda been all along. And you can use that and just be done with it. Get on with your business.
So to recap, so WooCommerce as the core purchasing engine, using Gutenberg, utilizing Cadence Free or Pro as your addition to Gutenberg Native as your block library, utilizing something like launch flows so you've got a one-page checkout experience, using the subscription add-on plugin for WooCommerce to deal with ongoing subscriptions on a monthly or yearly basis, and utilizing WP Fusion as your tagging engine, which links all these elements together. And by doing that, you're going to have a stress-free and a much more enjoyable experience on utilizing WordPress and having all the benefits of ownership, customization, and not being enslaved to a SaaS platform like Kajabi with all the costs. Is that basically a good summary of what we've discussed, Spencer?
That was absolutely great. And the point is that the cost of ownership, the simplicity, the things we're going to be doing from today forward are going to be a huge part of what you hear and see about whether you want to or not, because that's the inevitability of this. This is no longer a conversation like, oh, well, someday this, it's here and it's racing towards you at lightning speed. So either you get out of the way and be a Luddite, or you just accept it and welcome it and get on with it, because the experience is amazing. I like riding horses. I don't like cleaning up horse poop or feeding them. I'd rather get in a nice, clean electric car and fly off into the future with a computer control. WordPress, build your membership site, start making money.
Exactly. You know? And I forgot one thing. When it comes to one-to-one or group coaching, basically, we've outlined that they purchase through the WooCommerce engine. Then you're sent to a page where you have the calendar, Calgary, they can book their spot, then they're sent the invite, which will integrate with their Google Calendar. That's done. You can utilize the same process for a group setup, But then on the page they take, they will be sent automated email, or they'll be sent to a page which they can bookmark. There's various ways you can set it, but you use something like StreamYard and you have a page on your website rather than utilizing something like Zoom, and they've got to actually register, which is a little bit, if they're paid for it, if they pay, or it's an open part of the membership plan, this is the way you deal with it. Am I correct? Is what you've outlined?
Yeah. I mean, essentially what we're dealing with is we're saying, like, you just have a very small stack of features. There's maybe 6, 7 plugins, 8, depending on what you're doing. They work together without trying to be frameworks, without trying to own all the things they're doing. They allow you marketing automation, which improves your business capacity to track a user's journey and control their experience. And they give you full ownership and control in a box instead of having a lot of external dependencies. There's only 2 things you need to depend on if your CRM is part of that stack. You have SMTP for email, and you've got a gateway to take money. But the actual checkout process and everything you own and control in the box, and you know everything about all your users, so you can continue to focus on giving them a concierge experience. And this can be copied, cloned, modified, sold. It's your just little factory that churns out little Lego creations. Let everyone else continue debating endlessly and tinkering around and shiny ball syndrome while you go off and make money on servicing the people that are like, look, the world's very complicated. Can you help me out? And that's it. Ta-da.
Yeah, I think it's been a great show, Spencer. We're gonna wrap up the podcast part of the show, folks. You can join us at around 8:30 Pacific Standard Time every Friday and give us live questions. You can also join our fabulous Facebook group page. It's the Membership Machine Show. You find all the links in the show notes wherever you're viewing this. If you're listening to the podcast, go to the WP-Tonic website, to the show page, and you will find all the links there to join the Facebook group page. Both me and Spencer are admins. We've got a great community of WordPress people plus membership entrepreneurs trying to build their business on WordPress. Join us there. Got any questions, you can post them there, and either myself or part of the community will give you free advice and try and help you out. I think it's been a great show, Spencer. So, Spencer, what's the best way for people to find out more about you and what you got to offer, Spencer?
Most people can reach me at WPLaunchify.com and click to set up a free call. I also have a hub at spencerforeman.com that has all my latest content and live events and so forth. That's a good resource for news. Most of the things that I'm training people about are at a new WP Launch Club. So WP Launchify, WP Launch Club, Spencer Foreman. And as we mentioned, I do write the plugin Launch Flows, which is great for modifying the checkout experience. That's at launchflows.com. Socially, I'm at Spencer Foreman, F-O-R-M-A-N.
Oh, thanks for that, Spencer. We're going to end the podcast part of the show. We're going to continue. Spencer's going to share some screenshots, his screen, and we're going to go through some other stuff, which is better shown on the YouTube channel. So if you want to see that, go over to the WP-Tonic YouTube channel and also subscribe to it. We've got a fabulous amount of content about building a membership website utilizing the power of WordPress. Be free of things like Kajabi that charge you arm and a leg for your success. Keep your costs reasonable with WordPress and have that great freedom. We'll see you next week, folks. Bye. All right. So what would you like to show, folks? Spencer?
Well, let me actually pull up a page here. Hold on one second. I'm going to share a screen.
I thought that was a great show, by the way. I think we gave some really
it's a topical show, it's topical. Yeah. We're at that stage where the debate is shifted from, in my experience, the let's talk endlessly about stuff to let's just get it done. Right?
Let's get it done.
Let's just get it done. Okay. You know what I'm saying? All right. I'm going to add into the stream a screen share. Let's see if this works. I'm pleasantly surprised that I was able to get, after my Windows upgraded, I got the audio back. It seems like the day is getting better now. it was looking a little rough. Let's see, the dashboard launch kit demo. That looks right. Okay. So
I did.
yeah, okay, cool. That's working out. I can see it. This is, by the way, a great reason why StreamYard works so well, is because I can actually see what I'm sharing and I can scale it. It was really odd in Zoom. I'm trying to give a slide presentation. I have no idea what it is that I'm showing people.
That is slightly difficult, isn't it?
I had done a live event myself spontaneously using StreamYard, and I had not taken the time like you're doing to manage it. And I could see that it wasn't done, but my brain just ignored it. And somebody like 5 minutes in said, hey, I can't see your screen. So I just clicked and added it in. It was easy. All right, so here's the deal. This is a membership site that's a one-click launch. I mean, literally 8 seconds, I launched the whole site. This is using Cadence starter templates, Cadence theme, and so forth. But the bottom line, let's talk about a few pieces. Remember I talked about the dashboard, right? So here's an example of a dashboard where the user only sees one thing. And if they log in or log out, this is the difference. I don't want to lose my login here. So I'll do it at the end. If they were logged out, it would just essentially be the same thing. They'd come here and it'd say, give me, just press here to log in, right? It knows if you're logged in and logged out. When you're logged in, it's just a page that's made of Gutenberg blocks that has, for example, remember I said WooCommerce, manage my account. Well, if you want to get to the WooCommerce stuff, you click there, and it doesn't give you a link in the navigation to the WooCommerce. It gives it to you this way. And it's like, oh, here's my orders. Here's my subscriptions. And then when I'm done, as a user, I could just click the dashboard button again. You see what I mean? Yeah. Similarly, here's courses that I enrolled in, but if I wasn't enrolled in them, they would be in this column on the left side. And that's just done with the Elementor widgets, or in this case, sorry, the LearnDash widgets. Let me show you. At the back end, this is just a Gutenberg layout with Cadence blocks. And all I've done is use either the Gutenberg or I'm going to make this smaller. I've either used the Gutenberg or I've used the short codes. Here, for example, with the dynamic display, see it says LearnDash course list, right? That's just a component, a Gutenberg component that's from LearnDash. And then I set up what should be shown, which order, which things, and what status, right? So maybe I should only show things that are completed here, right? And so I could just change it like that. Okay. And if I want, I can even change showing content. Now you notice that things just changed there, because on this side, I've got another one that's the same block, but I just chose which options of what to show here. And this should be things like, for example, show not enrolled courses only. Why? Because I want somebody who comes to this dashboard to think, oh, I'm going to want to do that, right? That's something that I should definitely get my hands on. And that's how you can sell to them without feeling like you're selling. This was something the digital marketer has done for 1 million years with their own dashboard. It was like, pay $1 to get in, and then you can access the things by clicking on the dashboard of what you don't have. Let's talk about these other things. I'll go back over here. In the dashboard itself, you can link any of these things to direct to where they're going to go. Like maybe you have BuddyPress or BBPress forums. Maybe I was talking about a billboard. Maybe you have new things you want to sell. Just have this be a billboard up here, and somebody logs in, gets to see whatever. The tags know what somebody has, and they can be used conditionally to display or change what they see. So if somebody already had a course, this would not show them what they had. It would show them something alternatively. So it's like everything about the person, but with one dashboard, they can have a contact form. They can go to the WooCommerce stuff. They can log out. They can go to library training. Just they link to the stuff. Okay. On the back end with the products, this was something that was, what does the tag thing do? Well, let's just show you how simple it is. All you do is I've got Fluent CRM. And in this case, I've created tags one-to-one with purchased a product or did this or did that. So let's see, I've got 3-4 tags here. Purchased course 1. Okay. If somebody has this, then certain things can happen, or they can see things, or automations follow. But in the product, all I have to do is go to the product and I say, here's your membership subscription, or whatever. Here's your build your perfect plan. All I have to say is, If you buy
I'm
this,
not seeing where you're going. Actually, this is.
oh, why is that slowed down? Oh, that's weird. It's the sharing from, as I'm telling about how awesome StreamYard is. It's not keeping up. Hold on. My apologies. I see where the problem is. It's because I shifted pages out. So sorry. Let's go back. I didn't realize I shared one tab. I didn't share the whole browser. So if I go over here to Fluent CRM, I can set up a tag for various purposes.
So you're not using WP Fusion as an example. You're just using Fluent CRM.
That is not true.
All right.
Fluent CRM is the CRM that manages the tags and the automations. WP Fusion is the connector that I use to give tags, take away tags, add protection, whatever. So imagine that Fluent CRM was like ActiveCampaign or Salesforce or Infusionsoft. It was over there and it wasn't in the WordPress dashboard. I treat it as purely the container that holds the tags and the customer contact data and does the automations. But the connections, as I'm going to show you, are being done with WP Fusion. Wow. And the reason I do it that way is because that takes out the confusion of what's the job of WP Fusion, what's the job of Fluent. Fluent is to be a CRM. WP Fusion is the thing that connects all the components together. So here's, let's say, a purchase course one tag. So if I go over to my products, and I've got like one of those one-time or subscription products, right? Here's a subscription, here's a one-time. All I need to do is set up the product to give a tag when they've paid. And if it's a subscription, to give a tag as long as they stay paying. So here's the simple product, $150 one time. WP Fusion, I can say, give them the tag of purchase course one if they pay for this. And if they have that tag in the CRM, I now know, oh, tell me all the people who purchased this course because I want to do something to follow up with them, right? We also can use the tool that I mentioned, which is the direct connector between LearnDash and WooCommerce, and that's over here in general. This allows me to say, if you buy this product, which courses will you get access to? And I can have 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever are available, as easy as just choosing them from the drop-down menu. And that's quite powerful because I could give enrollment automatically with the tag, but I only get to choose one course for one tag. If I use this, I can sell a product and get access to 100 courses, and I still give the person a tag, but the tag is just for me for automation follow-ups. And then launch flows, I mentioned, this is where for this product, we can say, when you click the add to cart or you click on buy this, does this send this product to this checkout page or a different checkout page? After they bought it, does it send you to the generic thank you page, a custom thank you page, and so forth? And launch flows also gives you this neat option of a direct to checkout link. So I can use that in my social media. Like I can sell on Instagram, watch this video, click here to get this. It shoots that person directly to my custom checkout with the product ready to buy. And they get the tag when they buy it so that when I go back to my CRM, I can now do things based on that. Finally, content protection. Enrollment in courses is one thing, but you also have the ability on any page or post to also protect visibility. So you could just choose tags as well on a regular page or a post or a navigation item, or even inside of a block. I mean, this is kind of super cool. WP Fusion, you can use a block that has content that differs based upon which things the person has bought or not bought, or has or don't has. So for example, here in the inner, you know, this is if you have purchased, and then this is if you have not, right? And what's the difference? Well, on the WP Fusion protection block, we just say, which tag do you need to see the you've purchased stuff, or otherwise you see the alternative. So there's lots of ways of doing this. I think I've done this in 100 different presentations you can get on spencerforeman.com. But that's the difference, because you'll notice that I'm doing nothing. I'll show you one last thing. I'm doing nothing here to bother with using LearnDash or Lifter to sell stuff. I'm using WooCommerce. Here's an example of a course. I could have a button from anywhere that sends somebody to a page that's a sales page. Remember I just mentioned the Launch Flows direct checkout link. Well, all this is a regular page built, you know, with Gutenberg blocks or with WooCommerce. It doesn't make a difference. that I've just used the add to cart button with launch flows, and I send somebody to this page. They press the button, they go right to the checkout. It doesn't need all that complicated, weird setup stuff that happens with the internal sales mechanism of Lifter and LearnDash. And then finally, let's just look at one of the courses if I get to it. So on this like course here, remember I was talking about, I was using the really simple, I think they call it focus mode. Look at how beautiful and elegant this is, right? There's none of that crazy stuff all over the place of design, because all I did was I just eliminated everything and I just used the course widget and inside of a Cadence page, ta-da. And now it's just super easy to consume. And look at this too, right? There's no weird styling and sidebars and old-fashioned stuff. It just immediately picks up the content and shows it across the width of whatever your container is. So just some simple things that can be done that actually remove a lot of the time and complexity for a majority of people.
I thought that was excellent. I think we're going to wrap it up. We're going to be over the weeks delving into this a bit more. I think it's been a great show, Spencer. Would you agree?
It's been an informative show. I'm happy my voice has held up. I think for anybody who's curious about this stuff, I have an infinite amount of already made slide decks and shows and courses, web, from free to paid. And you can always just call me. So if you're using this stuff or want this stuff, or you're an implementer or you're an agency, you owe it to yourself to have a free call, because at the end of the day, this is 17 years, 8 hours a day of working with everybody in WordPress to get to where we're at. You owe it to yourself to just get on the electric car and say bye-bye to the horse and buggy and be on with your, business.
That's great. We'll see you next week, folks. See you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.